what's up you guys, the Curious Owl here, and today I have a book haul for you guys. So, I've officially broken my book buying ban again, and I'm basically going to stop with my book buying ban. I went through about 5 months and I just, had been buying books for myself because honestly, I've done so well so far, and it's been really hard. And I was going to be taking back some books to this bookstore called Schuler's near my hometown, and I was going to see how much money I was going to get for them. And so I decided, that day I was going to do a lot of shopping for myself because I worked really hard over the last semester. I hadn't really had a chance to give myself a reward for that, so I did a lot of shopping that day in different stores. I had 2 different gift cards to 2 different stores that I did some shopping at. I also got a couple birthday presents for my best friend Erica, and then when I got back to the bookstore to pick up the books that I was selling back, I only got like $5, and that sucked. But I got a bunch of books that were used that I used to either fill up collections that I was building or just found books that, I was wanting. And I actually found one new release that was on the used bookshelf, and I was so surprised, but I had to get my hands on it because I wanted this book so much when I heard about it. So without further ado, let me just get into the books that I got. In no particular order, the first book I have is Brizinger by Christopher Paolini. This is the 3rd book in the Aragon saga, and I'm really excited to have now 3 out of the 4 books, I think. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure there are 4 books. I saw this one that was on the shelf, and I was like, I need it because I'm trying to collect the series. This was a series that I remember several of my friends reading when I was in elementary and middle school, and a lot of people really liked it. I think it's much more high fantasy, and it's a little older high fantasy, so I kind of want to try to get myself into it and see how I like it. And it deals with dragons. I mean, who doesn't like a story about dragons? Next, even though I have already listened to the audiobook and I prefer the audiobook cover, I ended up getting An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. I do like this cover a lot for what it is, and this is like one of the original covers, I think, of the series, but I did prefer the newer editions that we've gotten, especially with A Reaper at the Gates coming up. But I saw this on the shelf and I just needed it because I loved this book so much. Next is the new release that I found on the shelf that I was so surprised to see on the shelf, and that is Sky in the Deep by Adrienne Young. Who would have thought that somebody didn't like this book enough to where they would put it on a used bookshelf in a Schuler's? Like, how does that happen? How does a new release end up doing that? Next is the old cover of a book that I didn't realize actually had a sequel until recently, and that is The Earth, My Butt, and Other Big Round Things by Carolyn Mackler. I didn't realize that this book actually ended up having a sequel to it, and I only found that out through some booktubers I follow. Next is a book that actually completes the collection of a series I have been going through for several months now, and that is the 3rd book in the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants series, Girls in Pants by Amber Shares. Next, because I just saw it and I really like John Green's writing, is the Let It Snow compilation of 3 stories by John Green, Maureen Johnson, and Lauren Miracle. Next, I have Scarlet by Marissa Meyer, the 2nd book in the Cinder saga, basically, the Lunar Chronicles, that's what it's called. I have the 1st book, and I haven't read it yet, but when I saw Scarlet on the shelf, I had been hearing so many good things about how the series develops. I wanted to make sure I get the 2nd book as soon as possible so that at least when I get to read Cinder, if I really like it, then I know I have the 2nd one and don't have to go hunting for it later. For the same reason, I ended up picking up the 2nd book in the Dorothy Must Die series, The Wicked Will Rise by Daniel Page. Next, again, for the same reason, I ended up getting City of Glass by Cassandra Clare, the 3rd book in the Mortal Instruments series. Next was a not a bad purchase on my part, but I bought a book that I didn't realize was not the book I wanted, and that was Dark Visions by L.J. Smith. This is a compilation of 3 stories, The Strange Power, The Possessed, and The Passion, dealing with, I believe, the Night World series. I think it is involved in that. I read the Night World series in high school and had been searching for the concluding story for years, and I thought that this was it, but it turns out that this is not it. But I think this has something to do with the Night World series, so I am still going to read it at some point because it seems like it has something to do with it, even if it's not like the concluding story. And finally, the last book I ended up getting in this haul was Linger by Maggie Stiefvater. I have Shiver, the 1st book in this series. This is the 2nd one.